queen of education of the UAE.
Did you do your research? Do you know Alissar was a queen?
You've already educated me again within 15 seconds. Is there a difference between educating boys and educating girls?
You know, boys have shorter attention spans.
So what did you say?
They have shorter.
You don't like the word passion. Why does that word bug you so much?
We have students who have passions already. Good. If you have it, I'm happy. But if you don't have it, no worries. It's not the end of life.
I wasn't good at maths.
First and foremost, it is the teacher that makes the difference. It's not about what they're teaching, it's about how.
Before we conclude on the mugs, I have to take one of them. Which one am I taking?
Not happening.
Straight off the bat. Is education ultimately all about control?
I encourage all kids to break the chains. You don't need to be controlled.
What is your response to the people that genuinely believe school is now outdated? Today's guest is Alissar Nasr. Alissar is the Chief Academic Officer at AMSI who operate the Mawakeb Schools here in the UAE. She has over 37 years working in education. She has an education master's degree from Harvard and is the daughter and granddaughter of teachers. It's more than fair to say that she is absolutely the right person to talk about when it comes to the current state of the education system and where it's headed. With so many different school systems and philosophies, it's clear that no one has yet cracked just how to tackle education. My job is trying to unlock those insights and also try to understand just how we as parents, as well as our kids, fit into that whole system. I guess for this episode, we're going back to school.
My name is Alissar Nasr. I am an educator. Education is a social experience, but it's enhanced with the academic experience, not the other way around. I hope and wish that my students carry with them compassion, kindness, honesty. You are girls. You will face challenges, and therein lies your strength. I say to you, finally, face every you cannot with a steadfast, I can, I will, watch me.
I am delighted to welcome the Queen of Education of the UAE into the hot seat. Alissar, welcome.
Thank you very much, Queen.
You were not expecting that. I could tell by that reaction.
What, did you do your research? Do you know Alissar was a queen?
I did not know that. You've already educated me again within 15 seconds.
She was the queen of the Phoenicians. That's where my parents decided to call me because they were avid lovers of history of our region. Alissar, she was the queen of the Phoenicians, Malikat al-Finiqiyin.
That's beautiful. So do you sort of walk around at home and at school like a bit like a queen? You strut. You just embody it. The whole queenlyhood thing. I love that.
You know, it's kind of interesting because when you have a name like this, you kind of have a lot to live up to.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always been that without me knowing it. I realized it later on in life. And then when I met other people with names that are that, I don't know, they have high expectations because of the name.
Imperious.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so we have I think we should start a club.
You should start a club.
If you have a name that puts pressure on you, call me.
You see, Luca doesn't sort of give that kind of impression. But do you know what my name means? Talking about meanings.
No, tell me.
It comes from Latin, and sort of the bringer of light.
Ooh, I love that.
I bring light. That's a lot. That's a lot to live.
I actually see it.
Yeah, so that's...
You're beaming.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of lights in the living room. But I try and bring that as much as I can, actually. So in the last sort of 12 months, done a lot of reflection with a common friend of ours, Zaina, who you know.
She's amazing.
And, one of the things that I've realized that I genuinely love to try and make people feel good, positive, bring the light, bring the energy. So I'm starting bit by bit to live up to the name. So anyway, we digress. Welcome to the show. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
And I can already see you have broken all expectations straight off the bat. You have 3 mugs on the table. Alissar, the queen of education. What is going on?
See, if I were to choose, I would have more than these because everyone who knows me and who's been in my home knows I have cabinets of mugs. You have shelves, I have cabinets.
Are you impressed with my
Lovely.
Yeah.
And I actually have some of the ones you have.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I'll tell you later which ones, but I do love to acquire, I'll say, interesting mugs from my travels, and it reached a situation where people know I have this, and now they find interesting mugs and they gift them to me, which is the story of one of them.
Okay, so talk to me. You've got three very different looking mugs. One looks kind of standard, the red one. One looks kind of fun, which is Asterix and Obelix. And one looks very, very fancy.
Yeah, so this one is standard, but I love that it's imperfect, right? You see the black on the red and whatever, and I
Yeah.
always find imperfection perfect.
And it says the bittersweet shop of,
So
on
this is
Newbury.
a very small shop on Newbury Street, and these small mom and pop shops, you don't see them a lot anymore. And I'm a big fan of Boston. I lived there for a while, and I love Boston. So when I go back,
It's freezing, but
I know. Well, it's charming.
okay.
It's charming.
Okay.
So that mug means a lot to me because I love the red, I love Boston, and I love the imperfection.
Love it. Do you feel yourself as imperfect? Are you an imperfect?
Of course, what? Have you had guests who are perfect?
No, but there's a lot of people that from their initial reaction, you can tell just how humble they are. And
Oh my goodness.
they're not.
So I think everyone needs a little dose of humility in their lives. For me, of course, I'm very far from it. I don't strive for it, though.
Yeah. You don't strive.
No, I
Most
don't.
people try and be
No, I
as
don't.
good as they can be.
Really? By whose definition?
Well, look, it's try and do better every day. Imagine if everyone tried to do better every single day. How much
Look
better
at
the
us.
world
There's
would
a
be.
big difference between doing better and being a better version of yourself and striving for perfection, because perfection depends on your perspective, right?
Mm.
So for me, it's not a strive. I do work hard every moment, not every day, to bring forth a better version of myself around anyone I'm with. But I don't have a target to become something.
Okay.
I do not.
But you love the imperfection of this.
Yeah, I do.
Love that. But let's move on to the next one. What's next?
This one was gifted to me by someone very precious to me. Her name is Hind. And she knows I love mugs, but I've never received such beautiful mugs. And I received 6 of them in one shot, and this one is my favorite.
She gave you 6 like this or 6 different
Six
ones?
different ones, because this is an artist based out of California, out of LA, and she makes them. And Hind's, the fact that she went about doing this is what strikes me as
Yeah.
this is a great,
Okay.
because she researched,
Very
she
cool.
found the lady, she ordered them, they were delivered from the US in time for Christmas. Just the whole way it was
Thought
done,
process.
yeah, resonates love for me. And so that's, this mug represents people in my life who love me and I love them.
That's beautiful. Is she your best friend? Is she your BFF?
She's one of my closest people. I don't do best friends, but she's,
You don't do BFFs.
I don't do BFF. She's one of the people I know I can count on, and she knows she can count on.
Do you think she'll be watching this episode?
Yeah, I'll make her.
You're going to make her?
Of
Oh,
course.
very nice. So I love...
You should have her as a guest.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would love her.
Fantastic. Well, she brings mugs like that. I'm happy to. Putting thought into a gift.
Aye.
It's becoming rarer these days. Do people actually take the time to think about what someone will genuinely like and then go out and get it? It's becoming rarer. Do you
How
find?
sad is that?
Did you agree?
I do. So I make an effort to avoid that.
Hmm.
When I gift people, I usually give it a lot of thought.
Yeah.
And I do invest the time it needs to personalize it. And by that doesn't mean engrave their name on it, but to make it suit what they represent to me.
Do you know what your love language is? There are 5 love languages. Do you know what yours is? Gifting is one of them, by the way. That's why I bring it up.
Okay, you're going to have to educate me on
Really?
4.
Okay, so gifting, then there's quality time, then there's acts of service, there's words of affirmation, and then there's physical touch. If I'm missing something, I might be.
Say them
I think
again.
those are the 5.
So you have
So gifting,
mm,
acts of service,
mm,
physical touch,
mm,
words of affirmation,
mm.
quality time.
Oh, wow, interesting.
There you go. So Hind looks like she's her love language is gifting.
Yeah, I would translate gifting into giving.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a giver.
Okay. And the last but not least, what's the last one?
Oh, this one
love
is it's a shame that today's kids are not very familiar with these beautiful comics, and I grew up reading them in both French and English.
Of course you did.
And so Asterix and Obelix have always been 2 of my favorite characters, and everyone knows Obelix. I love him to death.
Okay.
So I have so many pictures of him. Whenever I go to Paris, my first trip is always Asterix Park
Okay.
with the kids. And my kids grew up knowing I love him so much. I love the character.
Well, what do you love Obelix so much? Just the simplicity of it, his appetite. What
The
is it?
authenticity of him.
Okay.
He's very authentic, very reacts the way he wants. No censor, no filter. He is the original no filter guy.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So that for you is authentic. If someone that has sort of zero filter reacts rather than thinks and procrastinates, they are more likely to be authentic.
Yeah. I mean.
But in your line of work, I mean, you're in education. I mean, you can't react. You're kind of the antithesis of reacting. You've got to think. You've got to plan. You've got to, create.
With general school operations, sure. But with kids, I often react because that's what kids need. They need your authentic self there. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people focus on, when it comes to schools, on you have to think and you have to react because something bad happened. But they forget that for every day that matters in school, for every day that passes, for every week, for every month, you'll have maybe one problem versus 1,000 non-problems.
Yeah.
My father schooled me on this years ago when I ran into his office and said, I'm tired. I'm getting, this parent is bugging me a lot. This is my early days in leadership. And he said to me, okay, how many parents do you have? It's like, I don't know, maybe like, how many who annoy you? He said, what, 50? I said, no, less than 50. I said, and how many don't? And I was like, oh.
Very wise.
More than 700 don't annoy me.
Very wise.
So why am I focused on those? So it's the same with kids and reactions. So most people expect reactions in schools is you have to think about it, step back, look, because there's a problem and you need to figure out how to solve it, right? But most of our days are not solving problems, are really just enjoying what I call the privilege of being around these kids. I consider it a privilege to be around the students.
I have a lot I want to talk to you about.
Tell
but
me.
before we conclude on the mugs, I have to take one of them. Which one am I taking?
Not happening.
Straight off the bat, it's not happening. Now, Russia warned you before you came on. She said we're going to take one. And your reaction was, what? What?
I'll send you one. I'll courier one for
I
you.
want the asterisk one.
Done.
Seriously, I want the asterisk one.
Done.
Is that doable?
Done.
I know I'm putting a little bit of pressure on you, but
Big time. Like I'm feeling anxiety right now.
But I used to love asterisks and obliques, and I'm always going to remember that. Look, these two.
All right, you know what? Hear me out.
Yeah.
I have a lot of asterisks and obliques.
Then khalas.
Mugs.
Yeah, Alissar.
Mugs. So I'll send you a mug instead of.
I want this one.
You want the flask?
Yes, because it came on the show. Whenever it comes on the show, I can't take something from your house I haven't seen.
Done, sir.
Habibti, very kind.
Mabruk.
Thank you so much. Before we go any further, I usually ask my guests for a safe word because I'm going to ask you some quite challenging questions around education. I have a lot of skepticism in me, and I'm here to also learn from you. You're going to school me, I'm sure, no doubt, on many, many things, but I will challenge you on something. So if there's a question that you don't want me to answer, what is a safe word that you would use?
Obelix.
Obelix. Okay. Very cool.
How's that?
Beautiful. So education is straight off the bat. Elephant in the room. You've seen the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Oh, that's amazing.
A lot of people think the education system is deeply outdated and deeply flawed, and they no longer believe that it serves the purpose of bringing kids into the world that are prepared for this world because of the changes and the advancements in tech and AI and everything else that's going on. What is your response to the people that genuinely believe school is now outdated?
I disagree. Because I guess you have to go back to what do you think the purpose of a school is? How do you define education? And for me, it's never been about teaching them how to do calculus or physics or Arabic literature.
Or maths in your case. You're a maths
Or
teacher.
math. Calculus, dude. Calculus is math.
By the way, math,
Bloopers.
I was hopeless in maths.
No.
And it was my teacher. You're blaming my...
Not you. That is your teacher. Not you.
Yeah, but okay.
I bet you there are terms in math that you didn't get when you were a kid that I can teach you in 5 minutes now when we finish.
We've got time after this. Hello, we'll talk.
So for me, when you define education, how do you define it? Based on your definition, I can tell you whether I agree with these people or not. Because if your definition is, I want to create people who get jobs, okay, fine. Maybe that's what we should be doing, is teaching them AI and entrepreneurship and whatever, which is not wrong. We do teach AI and entrepreneurship. But for me, the definition of education at its very core is it should be a healthy social experience. Because above everything and anything, kids have to grow up as social entities. How do I manage conversations? How do I talk? How do I manage controversy? You know? So schools is the place where kids grow up learning how to manage their social life on all levels, dealing with kids their size, their age, different size, different age, adults,
Yeah.
helpers, anything. And so for me, education is a social experience. So when you say it's a social experience, it tells you it's not about defining if it's a bad system or a good system or not parallel to what we're going.
I'm totally with you because I am aligned with you on the social experience bit. So why do people, parents and teachers, put such an emphasis on grades?
This is not my schools, right? And I disagree with this, and they shouldn't. And
The
anyone
pressure
who
to
knows
pass,
me,
the pressure to get to
yeah,
certain grades
well,
to
you
get
know,
into your next level.
there's a reality there, okay? Because there's a disconnect. There's kind of a missing link, a gap between what kids are doing in school and then what they're expected to do in universities. Because there's a lot of demand on what schools should be doing with students, but I don't see the same demand on the university level. Meaning, my kids or Ari kids in any school still have to graduate and go to university. And then you have universities who have requirements for standardized exams, for high grades, for whatever. So as long as the next step for the kids has this demand, right? How am I expected not to make sure I want to create the path for them? If I eliminate that, I've taken away one of their options to go to university, and I'm not going to do that. But while doing this, we have to tell them while we're asking you to work hard so that you can make the grades so that you can go to uni, please understand that's not what life is about. It's kind of funny because, when we're adults and we go out into the workplace, you go into your boss's office and they ask you for ideas about something, right? And you give them like 10 ideas and they throw out 9 and they take that one. So you're allowed to fail 9 times for getting one right. Meanwhile, in school, red marks, wrong, wrong. And then we say that we don't emphasize
Yeah,
it.
but you're missing also the other bit, which is the peer pressure from their friends. If you get a bad grade, or if you're middle of your class, there's a lot of pressure and there's bullying around your grade from your peers. So it's not just coming from above; it's the system creates. And there's a competition which I get, but there's the negative side of competition can leave very lasting, damaging feelings
No,
to
I
students.
agree.
I take my own. I wasn't good at maths, whether it was my teacher's fault, whether it was me, whatever you want to call it. My grades were not good at maths. It turned me off that as a subject completely to the point where anything that comes around now with numbers, I kind of try and delegate it off somewhere else, mainly ChatGPT or something. But that's become like that was made worse because of the people that I was with at school, not just from the teacher. So the institutionalizing of you're not good or not good as this person is something that starts from a very early age, and that kind of stays with you forever.
Yeah, but Luca, when you were going through that, what did your school do to stop the other kids from doing that? Because
Not much.
I cannot talk on behalf of all schools. I talk on behalf of mine. And in our schools, that is out of the question. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
I will not tolerate, it's not tolerated to have kids, diss on other kids for their grades. It's not happening.
Alissar, why hasn't the education system been cracked? Why are there so many different systems out there?
Okay.
Because you've got your style, right?
Yeah.
And there are countless others, not just in the UAE, but from across. I mean, I came from a British schooling system, very very different to the American schooling system. Why are there so many different schooling approaches? Is it because no one really knows how to deal with it, with the evolving times? Is there just, different ways you can slice, what do they call it? Like skin a cat, different ways to skin a cat. What's the,
Yay caramba.
well, yeah,
Could have
there's,
picked up.
but there was an expression about skinning a
That's
cat.
just oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
It's not heard of-
violent.
Yeah. It's,
Let's stick with the different ways to slice like a loaf of bread.
All right, there you go. One of those. No cats getting skinned.
Look, you're in Dubai, first of all. So the variety of systems in Dubai is because of the nature of Dubai and the diversity of its population and its demography. This is not the situation in every country. There are countries where it's just the same government system in all schools. So this diversity you see here, and it's incredible. But it does represent how many systems are out there in the world. And I think you cannot, and we're, slowly but surely we got there. We know now not any two kids can learn the same way. Every kid needs their own way to learn, which accounts for why you need so many systems to accommodate for the differences in all children, right? I mean, it took us a while before finally we now realize that I can teach, Rashid in one way, but I need to teach Maryam in a different way. The same thing, but in two different ways. So differentiated teaching has become part of our daily narrative in schools because systems cannot be one size fits all. So you will always have differences in systems, but what shouldn't be different, and this is where I have the theory on it, is the people running the systems, right? So you could have, you teach math, everyone teaches the multiplication tables on the planet.
I was really good at that, by the way.
There you
Can you
see?
test me up to 12? Test me up to 12.
12 times 12.
144.
There, you got it.
Do you know what we used to do at school? We used to put them, a shout out to Marlborough House School in the UK. They used to put times tables they used to print them and stick them on the back of the toilet. So when you're sitting on the toilet, you had to look at the
Everywhere.
table.
Once again, you do it, and your mom probably had it on the fridge, in the closet. You could, when kids struggle with multiplication table, you have to put it in front of them. It becomes photographic more than learning.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
By the way, feel free to test me throughout this episode together. All right, just drop it
And
in
only
from
up
time
to
to time.
12.
And I've just realized it was slice of cake. Many ways to slice a cake.
There you go.
And skin a cat. There's
Okay,
both.
okay.
Right? Not
So I was close
you
with the bread.
The toast, the bread is not bad.
Not bad.
So anyway, please continue.
The most challenging multiplication number was always 8 times 7.
56.
There you go. You got it. You're fine. And the most fun was 7 times 7.
49.
There you go. A+.
معلش.
منك قليل.
So you started very young teaching. You were in the 4th grade. You started basically telling other people what to do, how to do it, and marking your friends. Your parents were teachers. Your grandparents were teachers. You've been in education for 37 years. You've got a degree from Harvard. We've created this thing back for you. You're basically Mrs. Education. But over that time, you must have had thousands of alumni just coming in, coming out, right? And you've seen across decades a really good sort of cross-section of what people are like and how they've evolved and how they developed. What are some of the insights that you've taken from that period of education?
That the main ingredient in education is love. Nothing else. If you love these kids, they will reciprocate so easily, and then they will do for you whatever you need for them to move to the next level.
So what does that mean, love?
It means giving them the space where they feel safe, cared for, not judged. A space where I can't eliminate it, but we do our best to take out fear of anything, whether it's fear of exam or fear of future or fear of trying out for a team. It means making sure they understand that I'm there for them when they're in school, and then my story continues with them when they leave school, which is why we enjoy and are honored by our lovely, solid relationships with our alumni in our schools.
Yeah.
So if kids know that my future means I can still come back here and you'll still be there for me, then they don't have to think of finishing high school as an end.
Is it fair to say that you've mothered thousands of young kids?
I like to say sistered, but okay. I can say I've mothered them and their parents. Because I believe that we have to build such cordial, respectful, two-way street relationships with the parents as well.
Are parents getting more demanding or less demanding?
As demanding as they should be. I think
because the more awareness that they have about how to parent, what schooling should look like.
Is it really awareness, or is it too much information coming in from so many places?
Yeah.
I like to go back to basics most of the time and try to filter out too much information that's coming in and say to parents, can you please just calm down? Really just talk to your kids. Just listen, enjoy, and don't forget you're not their friend. I don't subscribe to the I want to be my kids' friends. You're not. They have a lot of friends. They don't need you. They need a father and a mother. They need parents.
Yeah.
Who help them, go in the way that they want to go in the right way.
What are some of the mistakes that parents are making now that you just...
They over-advise.
They advise who? The teacher or the
Everybody.
or the kid?
Adults in general over-advise.
Okay.
Adults in general, and I've said it, and if you've watched my videos, then you know, please fight the urge to advise. You cannot put yourself in a place where you're always telling people what you think they should do. Can you please just hold back and be the advisor when you're asked? I always feel like I try to create that kind of space with my kids and with my students where I say, you can speak. I'm not going to say anything unless you tell me what you need. Ask your question. You need a question, you need advice on something, ask me. Otherwise, I will not be volunteering it, right? Because I feel sometimes, and I read this somewhere and I agree, like unsolicited advice almost feels like criticism, right? So if I'm advising you and you didn't ask for it, I'm kind of criticizing what you're doing. Why? And kids don't need this, all right? Can you just, calm down, back off them. Let them be. And literally, I emphasize the word be. Okay, not let them be يعني حلوا عنهم. Let them be يعني let them be whatever. Be angry, be emotional, be, reckless sometimes, but be there to cushion them. But let them be and listen. Please exercise more listening, less
From the parents.
talking from adults everywhere when it comes to children and to, it's kind of funny because like high school kids, they're my favorites. I love them. Teenagers rock.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an advocate. And parents tend to think that is when they need to advise the most. And I'm telling you, back off. These kids get a lot of it. They don't need more of it. Be the one that doesn't do it. And you would be shocked if you listen to them, how much insight they have.
Mm.
They are so ahead of when I was a teenager.
So what have you learned from your students?
Everything. I learned so much.
Give me some...
Whenever I need... Okay. Maybe the whole concept of me coming onto stop advising kids, I learned from them. Because they talk about the frustration of always being grilled. Of always someone telling them they know more than them. Or they're better than them at something, so we should listen to them.
Anything you say under the thumb.
Yeah, but they, what's wrong with letting them make a mistake? Again, this seeking perfection and let them make their mistakes and let them learn from them. What happened to good old-fashioned let them make their mistakes? And be there to support them if they need it.
Mm.
But if they don't need you and they're moving forward, let them be.
So it's to sort of help summarize. You're trying to create an environment where they feel safe and secure, right, and loved, so they can allow themselves to step into whatever power that they need to step into without being sort of directed, coddled, overprotected.
100%. So maybe another way to put it is I want to give them a seat at my table, equal to mine, and I want to make sure they know they have a voice. Not I just say you have a voice. Like, come here, I want to hear your voice. Often if I have a problem in school, you could sort it out by saying, send me like 10 kids from 5th grade, 8th grade, and 12th.
But Alissar, do you really believe you can be their equal and they can be your equal?
100%.
At the table? Like they're a 12, 13-year-old kid?
100%. They've solved some of our problems in schools. Like I'd say, we have a problem, for example, trying to save water somewhere. What do you think? They'll come up with ideas that are so innovative and creative, and they are an untapped source in countries, in my opinion. We should, you know how you have national councils and United Nations and whatever? Every country should have a board of trustees made up of kids between, 5 and 18. You'd be amazed. You should come walk around the school.
I like my son Matthew's 4. Let him interview in a year's time. Tell me if you think he's good enough to be on that board. He'd come up with some radical policies.
Yeah.
He'd give cars to everyone. He's obsessed with cars.
Fine, but he would say to me, give cars to everyone. And I'd say to him, tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
I would take his advice. Well, how would I do this? Wait, where would I get the money? Watch your son become an entrepreneur just from the kind of questions you ask.
Yeah. No, I can see that. You do believe in Gen Z and the Gen Alpha generation much more, big time. So why is that? Why are they the kind of secret, if you like, or the sort of superpower, or the, unstoppable force that's going to help?
First of all, they know a lot more than we did when we were their age. Well, I'm
I
much
know
older
times
than
ta- I
you,
know
so
times table up to
I'm there.
12. I don't know, man. I'm
6 times 9.
huh?
6 times 9.
54.
Bravo. Now he's good. I know because they have so much access to information. They have so much more care for things we never cared about. Environment,
Do they care too much
politics.
though? They care too much.
No.
Are they getting a bit too soft? I've had
No.
I had one of your students in that same seat,
Brahim.
Ibrahim Abbas, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him about the Gen Z versus millennial versus Gen Alpha generation, and he basically said Gen Zs are too soft; they need to get over themselves. And he said the Gen Alphas are scary because they are direct, they're blunt, they'll take on anyone, they don't care.
I've been hearing this about Gen Z because I know that a lot of people in corporate, let's say, are complaining about how they are performing in the job market.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to reverse it. And I want to say, exactly how much are you doing in the corporate world to pull them into are you boring them? Are they fitting right? Maybe the fit is not right. But I come from education. There's no way you're ever going to catch me judging any generation negatively.
Yeah.
But I always say I have a responsibility. We have a responsibility in our schools to hear what we are hearing, listen, and see how we can fight it from within.
Yeah.
So I hear Brahim and I hear a lot of people say that, but I don't subscribe because I see he is Gen Z.
Exactly what I'm saying.
So why is he different? And this is where I would rather hear the ones who are not what he's describing, what got them that way.
I have to ask. Sorry, you know what my next question is going to be about Ibrahim. What's my next question going to be?
He's awesome.
What was he like as a student?
He's awesome.
Really?
He was awesome.
No.
He was forced into dealing with challenges at a young age, and it helped him mature faster than kids his age and grow into a young man faster than other kids his class. Even though now he's like a total, he's like a loony.
Yeah.
And I love him, and he knows that.
Is there a difference between educating boys and educating girls?
Yeah, of course.
There's
not a difference in the academic side, but there's a difference in how you talk to them.
Give me an insight.
It would be like me telling you how I deal with my boys at home versus my daughter. There's always a difference. It would be ridiculous to say there's no difference. There is a difference.
What are the differences?
Well, girls are more emotional beings. They are, not to say boys aren't emotional, but the approach with a girl will take usually a little bit longer in terms of a conversation to get her somewhere than with a boy. And that's, boys have shorter attention spans, I want to say. So
what do you say?
They have shorter. Thank you for proving my point. You deal with them differently, but the targets are always the same, is to raise them so that they complement and lift each other.
From an education perspective, who makes better teachers, boys or girls?
Oh, no, I can't say either or. I have good and bad in both, but it's disappointing for me that we don't have more male teachers in education.
Why is that?
That's a statistic. I think it's because how society everywhere, not just in our region, has always addressed the education thing as, men should be making a lot of money, and that doesn't happen in education, so they go somewhere else, which is a shame.
Can you make money in education?
Yeah, you can.
Can you make good money in education?
And what does that mean, huh?
Versus comparable to, I don't know, someone working in a hedge fund.
Wait. Of course. Yeah. What does that mean, good money? Luca, do you want to make money so that you can... So your money...
Back in school.
Wait.
I'm back in school. Luca,
hear me out. So you can live and drive, without naming brands, a good car that gets you from point A to point B, or you want the speedster, all right? So good money just means, do I live a life with, gratitude. I'm grateful for what I have. I'm fine with what I have, and I don't need to always have more.
So devil's advocate, elephant in the room, these Gen Zers, Gen Alphas, even Ibrahim said it, like they're trying to make money faster rather than working super, super hard like their parents did or their grandparents did. So for them, it's about how do you build, create fast and not putting the hard work into it. Tallying that with a conversation I had with Haitham Matar, who is the managing director of Intercontinental Hotels Group. He told me in hospitality, no kids want to get into it because it's too much work, not enough money, and there's no real perks and benefits. So he's saying the challenge with talent is that they no longer want to go into these industries anymore because they have to work too hard. It's not going to be the same thing with education in 20 years' time, where you're going to have, unfortunately, a massive gap between younger educators versus their older counterparts.
I am worried, to be honest, about that. I am worried about the future of building, a cohort of awesome young teachers, because every year less and less are going into education. But it's our fault.
Mm.
As
fault.
societies,
As-
societies who are grilling so much into the general population how important money is, how important accumulating stuff is. We're such a consumer society all over the world that, I want more. I want to have more. I want to have the better car, the better house, the better vacation. I want to fly first class. I want to do this. This is what we are embedding, whether it's on social media, in movies, in whatever. It's our fault, and we need to become cognizant of that and maybe, press on the brakes. Step on the brakes and say, again, go back to basics. I want to, have a good life with the minimal and maybe some perks, but again, that's not the target. And as long as we keep pushing for that kind of lifestyle, it's going to get worse, I think. So humility and this is what we try to do within our schools is keep them humble, keep the kids humble. No, it's not about the money. Money is important. Unfortunately, we've made it very relevant in our societies.
Especially living in Dubai. It's not easy to live in Dubai without a high income.
Well, I think I always disagree with people who say that. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because it's life versus lifestyle.
Mhm.
Because you could live in Dubai very humbly and make a good living and manage to live without huge expenses if you want, or you want a lifestyle that requires, a villa and talabat every day and I don't know what. It's lifestyle. I've been here 50 years, 50.
So let me give you a different perspective. You've been here 50 years. You moved here when you were 8 years old.
Correct. We just
done my
completely
research.
Exposed the age, but okay.
By the way, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
The reality is when people do come to Dubai, they're leaving their home country and they're coming here to make money. That's the point. This country gives them a better opportunity to provide a financial security for their kids and their kids' kids. So this place is about money. You don't come to Dubai for anything other than wanting to advance your career and to develop and build a financially strong enough environment. So money is top of mind to people.
All right. So, but then you said it. So they leave their home country to come here and make money because it's better for them so that they can go back. So whatever they're spending here, despite the fact that it is expensive or whatever you want to call it, they'd still rather be here than their home country because it still makes sense. So again, it's about even with the Dubai life, you can still manage a lifestyle that still is okay for you back home.
No doubt.
I grew up here, so I have a different Dubai in mind.
Yeah.
I don't do the Dubai that you see on TV. I'm, barbecue at home, watch TV, walk around the hood.
By the way, you should come to my barbecue. I do good barbecues.
And you should come to mine.
My farouk.
I'm ex-Russia, so I want her to come over for coffee in my garden.
I'm not invited. So.
You'll come an hour later because we need time to talk about you.
Okay, amazing.
Right,
on
Russia?
On that note, but before we get into the questions here, we've spent, I could talk for hours with you. You're a very intelligent person. You're very, there's a lot of insights to be uncovered. You don't like the word passion, and if you look at your AI image over your shoulder, which you love, by the way,
yes, I do.
We put find your passion, and we kind of penciled out that passion. Why does that word bug you so much? Come on, give me that creative social reel that I'm going to blast everywhere.
All right.
Give it to me, Alissar.
Anyone who has seen me talk, and they're gonna be bored because I keep talking about this, because I always get this question.
Yeah.
And it's because I find the sentence "find your passion" a bit unfair to be used when we're talking to kids. Because you say to them, "Find your passion," and they're gonna look for it where, Yani? Where do you find your passion? In like what? In the cabinet? Under the table? In one of their books? I mean, if you have it, and we have students who have passions already. Good. If you have it, I'm happy. We'll help you grow with it. But if you don't have it, no worries. It's not the end of life. You know, I'm 58. I cannot tell you I have a passion. It depends on the day.
Got a passion for mugs.
Well,
You've got a whole
is
shelf.
it a passion?
You've got shelves.
Is it a passion though, or is it just something I like to do?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's pressure on kids because it creates a feeling of inadequacy. Because I don't have a passion. Does that make me less than someone else? So that kind of pressure I do not want with my students. I want them to know, if you have it, good.
Did something happen to you when you were younger that sort of scarred you? Did you have any pressure to find any passion yourself?
Oh God, no. My parents were very cool with these things. I think maybe this kind of calm energy I have about education comes from them.
So where does it come from then? This sort of...
I've seen kids who struggle with questions of, what if I don't have? What if I never find? And I'm like, yeah, so what?
Yeah.
You'll find. What's wrong with working somewhere that you like a lot? You don't have to be passionate about it. You can be passionate about fishing. So, go work in a job that you like a lot so that you can afford going fishing. A passion, maybe what I don't like is it's been transformed into a word that you should monetize. Find the passion and make money from it. Why?
Because being passionate is a good thing.
I'm very passionate. Can't you not tell?
I teach passion.
I love passionate people. It makes you buy into whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But passionate is different from having a passion. Mm-hmm. All right, that's one. Second, let's get away from always trying to push on children or on students the idea of find the passion and turn it into a money-making machine. That is pressure.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That is pressure.
Aligned.
So I have a new favorite word that has the word passion. You know how I love passion fruit? No, so how about compassion? Because that for me...
Compassion.
Because that's the kind of passion I love to work on with my kids.
Yeah, and how much is it? And how much is it in need right now in the world?
Big time. And so for me, these are the three words that go with me wherever I go, whenever I talk. Compassion, kindness, gratitude.
Beautiful.
These... So I like to think of compassion when I think of passion. That's my new thing. You're the first one to hear about it. I wanted to make a video, but now you got it. So it's, copyrighted.
It's a scoop.
Copyrighted. So that's what I like to think about. So that's what passion and compassion mean to me.
And I would be very grateful, speaking of gratitude, if you take the bag of balls and just start opening them up. There's 6 questions in there. Hopefully you'll be able to read them.
I love your format, by the way. And by the way, Luca, I've done some podcasts, and I have to say your questions make me appreciate you.
Thank you.
Because it tells me you didn't just invite me into your home, which is already an honor, but you took the time. People just don't take the time anymore. I know that's wrong. I don't like to say that. I'd rather say it as I wish people take more time. Because some of the things I do in my school is I don't like the words a lot, most of, many, I don't like. So you tell me, many students are absent to them, like,
generic.
Give me the number. And it ends up being like 4.
Out of 600.
So many teachers didn't come to this event. How many? 10 out of 700. Don't use these words. Specify, because when you use these words, you kind of generate a panic that is not necessary.
Yeah, and it's also lazy and ignorant.
Yep. You ready?
So what you were saying, you were saying something nice, then you were...
Oh, you are no. So I want to say you take your time. Clearly you took your time to formulate these questions for me, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Do you know what? The reason why I wanted you to continue is because it's respect out of anything else to who you are and your career that you've had, the impact that you've had. Every guest I've had on the show, I do my own research. I look at I look at what they've said on other podcasts, other shows, other formats. And the last thing I ever want is for someone to come in and just say the same thing that they've said 20, 30 times beforehand. It's a waste of time. There's nothing new there. So it's about adding value, and you add value through respect, through research, and through a bit of creativity. So hopefully you'll.
Well, I think you've succeeded. You've done that, and it's clear. And I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you.
Hi, everyone. I really hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Throughout my career, I've met a lot of people that have anxiety when it comes to public speaking. If you're someone that has that anxiety or nervousness and has always wanted to be more confident in public speaking, but you're also not sure where to go or how to start, the good news is I might be able to help. I have 20 years experience working in corporate communication. I'm a former regional CEO, and I've helped to win over 80 different clients through new business pitches. With so many online trainings based on theory, I wanted to share what's helped me in the business world. I've launched my own training program called Master Pitch. This 7-module course covers everything you need to know, whether it's learning how to really understand the audience, how to deliver real impact, or how to effectively storytell. I've got it covered. With practical tips and real examples, you can immediately start turning that anxiety into confidence. Also, in a world of AI, there's never been a more important time to invest in your personal brand and in developing your public speaking. For more information, go to lucaallam.com or drop me an email at info@lucaallam.com. Right, let's get back to the episode.
Raise confident women or raise conscious societies. Where should we start first? Raise confident women, because they will help you do the other one easily. Confident women are the secret ingredient to successful societies. And men who help them, or not help them, we don't need the help. Men who accept that and invest in it kind of create their own success as well that way.
So you just said it now about inviting Rasha earlier, and you said it when you first arrived, right? That you were complimenting her a lot in front of me. So why is that? Why is it so important for you to sort of advocate, to drive that women empowerment agenda?
Because it's a very sensitive topic for me, because it's bad enough we have to fight men for what we need and what we want. Add women to the mix. So I feel like one of my greater responsibilities is finding ways to advocate and lift other women. We need more women for women, not just men for women. And so I have embraced that responsibility on myself, and I try to make sure at least the vastest majority of our teams do the same.
Were you burned by women in the past?
Not me, but I've seen women burned by women. I've actually been lifted by women, and so I need to pay it forward, I think, in a way. And I've been lifted by, a lot of the men in my life. Not all, but a lot. But I have never been burnt by women, which I'm very lucky. And I hate that statistic, because I wish I had been, so that I can reflect on it. But I've heard so many stories, and they hurt.
Yeah. I had a lady second season called Lubna Iman Shal. She's a very prominent leader, female leader in tech. And there aren't that many female leaders in tech. And she basically said there's no womanhood. Women do not back each other, support each other in the tech industry. If there's 2 or 3 of them, rather than coming together, they kind of try and throw each other under the bus to get ahead in front of their male counterparts, which I found very sad.
Completely destroys me, by the way.
Yeah, it was very sad. Very
I hear
sad.
that, it completely hits at my very core.
And then the flip side is I had a lady in that seat, Marisa Kamal. She leads Gaia Network. It's a female leadership network based here in Dubai. Very impressive. She's a former managing director of HSBC, and she got burnt out with corporates. She got pregnant. She had some issues, 1, 2, 3. She created a network of leaders, female leaders. That's super impressive. I'd love to connect you guys separately. But I hear you. And I think the reason why I bring it up is because I know it matters a lot to you, and education is the starting point for getting women on the right journey, the right mindset. Not just about what they learn, it's about what they don't learn as well, is as important.
100%. And the preparation for it. And mind you, I do this not with a focus just on the girls, also the boys. They have a role, right, in all of this. So it's raising girls and raising boys who help us in this journey.
I'm with you.
So it has to be done. And, your guest who talked about women in tech, poof, that's like it slices at me, because I know that sadly I've heard stories of, the glass ceiling, and everyone talks about the glass ceiling. And often you look up at the glass ceiling and it's not a shoe, it's a heel. Woman, please help me move. And it bothers me a lot. So that is something I'm invested in, which is how to find ways to advocate for women and to lift other women, and starting with lifting girls. What's more damaging, teachers with no empathy, kindness, or a curriculum that avoids it? Teachers.
So that could be more damaging.
Big time.
So a teacher that doesn't have it versus a curriculum that doesn't install it. That's more damaging. How big a role?
If a curriculum doesn't have it, but a teacher has it, you'll make amends. But if a teacher doesn't have it, I don't care what the curriculum has, it's not going to get there.
So talk to me about how you screen teachers and what do you look for before you bring them to your schools?
The 3 words are important.
How do you, again, it's...
And you can never tell, right? Because in an interview, you bring out, you bring your best person out. There's always a risk, but I like to say after 37 years, I can tell.
Yeah.
Look, I don't need to sit in on a class anymore to figure out if a teacher is good at what they do or not, because I can look through the window and know. And when I look through the window, I'm not looking at the teacher. Usually I'm looking at the kids. And from the way the kids are behaving, looking, changing eyes,
they're a mirror.
I can tell.
They're a mirror to what's happening.
I can tell from your children what kind of a father you are. You understand? You can tell from our students what kind of a school we are. So a teacher, and I was saying this before when we were talking about systems, and I didn't finish the thought maybe, so I'll take advantage now to finish it, which is, I don't care what system you have. I don't care how good or bad or whatever it is. It could be the best equipped school or a tree in a third world country. It is the teacher. First and foremost, it is the teacher that makes the difference.
Yes.
It's not about what they're teaching. It's about how they're teaching.
The damage they can do.
Big time.
Is arguably, you cannot undo it. Arguably.
Well,
with a lot of work, a lot of, removing, rewiring of subconscious potentially. But when you're a young kid, if you're an impressionable 3-year-old to 7 years old,
stays with you.
It's very difficult. I mean, I still remember some of my favorite teachers.
And some of your worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've learned now to look back on only my favorite teachers.
It's kind of funny, huh, Luca? Because you asked me before. There was one teacher, a math teacher, funny enough. And I'm a math major, by the way. I have a bachelor's degree in math before my master's at Harvard. One of the teachers that I hated, if you want, was a math teacher.
Strong word.
Because, I did not, and after he passed away, I had no feelings.
Yeah.
It's funny, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a teacher, and this is, in the 80s, and I was a top student. Sorry. And he asked
you went to Harvard,
question.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
That's like a different podcast.
Okay.
I've been there, done that.
We'll do that season 6.
Don't believe the hype.
Season 6.
Yeah. He asked a question, and of course always banked that if no one else knows it, Alissar will know it in class. So I didn't. He took a ruler to the back of my hand.
Wow. How old were you?
I was in 8th grade.
What's that? Because again, I'm British system.
So I was 13.
Okay.
12 or 13. And that didn't scar me, but that remains an example for me of, I was an intelligent young girl. I'm still a very intelligent woman, yet I still remember that. So imagine the effect teachers have on students if me, the intelligent, wiser, more mature woman, still thinks of that.
So because that happened to you, you're much less likely to do that same thing to someone else. That's changed your direction as a teacher, your course completely. All those little experiences that you've had have dramatically, or not maybe dramatically, in a small way or a big way, impacted.
Yeah, of course.
So what was it that's happened to you that made you want to start teaching others in 4th grade dedicate your entire life to education. Like, honestly, it
You're
doesn't
gonna
make.
stick with that story. With
It's not. It's not, because it's a fact. It's a you love education.
I do.
You love the impact on other
I
people.
do,
You
I
love
do.
seeing it. And that's the best thing about education. You can make an impact immediately and see the results.
Yeah.
But why? Why does that matter to you so
Maybe
much?
it's my parents. I'd have to say. I mean, it's cliche-ish, but the way my father and my mom
Hmm.
ran the school that I was a student in and then became a teacher at inspired me.
You didn't get bullied because your parents were running school.
Oh, I got bullied because they were in school.
That's what
It's the other way around.
that's what I'm saying. You were bullied because you.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say bullied, but I was, I used to hear the sentence, "Oh, you got the grades because your father changes your grades."
Yeah.
My father used to say, "Hey, okay, just, whenever someone says something like that to you, the best way to deal with it is to give them the answer they don't expect." Because when they say that to you, and this is a bullying conversation we can have after in my garden, all right, which is, how do you deal with it? It's, give them the response they don't expect.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is trying to egg you on, right? They want to get anger or sadness or whatever. So what do you give them? You give them instead, "Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father did change my grades." And they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, you don't prolong the.
Yeah,
you don't
you
entertain.
don't
You don't entertain the conversation.
go along with their narrative. You change the narrative and you own it.
I did that a lot at boarding school.
See?
Question I have for you, just because we're on the subject. I asked the same question to Dr. Jana before. You have 3 kids.
Mm.
Would you rather your kid was being bullied or they were the bully?
Bullied.
You'd rather they were the bullied.
I'll tell you why. Because it's an opportunity. Well, actually, either or, but bullied only because it allows me the opportunity to teach them how to deal with the
Bullies.
world later.
Okay.
It's funny for me because, we live in a world where the adults are bullies. I mean, you see it everywhere. In the street, with a taxi driver, the passenger is bullying the taxi driver.
My wife. My wife bullies me. Help.
You probably deserve it. So again,
womanhood. Unbelievable.
Believable.
Yeah.
So, you see it everywhere. The mom who bullies the nanny and then is surprised that her son bullies his friend. And it's we're surrounded by adults, politicians on TV bullying each other, celebrities bullying. Why are you surprised kids are bullying? I mean, this shock and awe on the adults in our societies. Is there bullying? Of course there's bullying. Are you exemplifying non-bullying? You're exemplifying bullying. So it exists. Let's just deal with it is my approach. Deal with it and stop whining about it. It's fine. Stop, overusing the word too. Not everything is bullying. It's a different conversation again. Part 2, maybe in season 6. Are schools shaping individual thinkers or standardizing minds for the collective benefit? That's gotta be, it depends on the school. I'm sorry. But I'd rather feel we are shaping individual thinkers.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
It's the ideal. Every kid is treated the same. This treated differently. Every kid is given different opportunities to excel. The reality is, you have a class of 25 students. You've got 2 teachers. There's no way you can give an individualized approach to
You'd be amazed.
to teaching kids.
You need to come walk around with me. Trust me.
You're a maths person. You're a capital person. The numbers don't seem to make sense to me. How do you have so many and have so few, and yet still the so few can have that much of an impact that they create individualized kind of approaches to the students?
Well, it's a whole different collective, huh? We're not doing this alone. I'm not working with the kids alone. The teachers are not alone. Your podcast is teaching. Your social media is teaching. Everyone is contributing to the making of a student. So it's a collective effort, and we all help each other. And sometimes we have to compensate for what someone else is doing so wrong.
So plug your schools then. Why are you different to the others?
Because of compassion, love. Because I don't want to say I'm different. I don't know what others do. It's, in Arabic we say, كل المدارس خير وبركة. I have no issue. To each their own. But I know what I do. What we do in Mawakeb is hopefully, and I always say to people who come visit and want to, inspect or whatever, just don't let the principals pick the kids you talk to. You go out in the playground and talk to anyone. And what I like to hear when they come back and tell me what they heard is the kids love it here. They feel like they're safe.
Yeah.
They feel, but guess what? On the side, they're also learning. They are learning their math. They are learning their English. They all know how to read and write, alhamdulillah. Eh? But before they say that, I want them to say, we're happy here. We love it. We can't wait to, become an alumnus and visit with Alissar. And, the happiness you feel going through our hallways is what I like you to feel when you go through our schools.
So kids ever get jealous with all the other students that you take care of?
No.
When they were younger.
Jealous, no, annoyed sometimes, because I'd be walking anywhere and saying, Miss Alissar, I'd be walking in Nice and I'd hear Miss Alissar. I'm like, oh no, another alumnus. So I always have to be careful what I'm wearing, where I'm going, what I'm doing. But no jealousy. They appreciate it. They're alumni themselves. I like to believe they appreciate it. But if you ever have any of them on the podcast, please do ask them.
What do you think I was like as a student?
I think you were a rascal. And I love it. These are
Great
like my
name.
favorite kinds
I
of
love
students.
that. Rascal. I love
Yeah.
that. It's a great
And
word.
these are the kids that I love, I worry when kids are quiet. It's the quiet kids that I feel we have to figure out what's going on.
Got nothing to worry about with my kids. They're definitely not quiet. Should we do another one?
Let's do another one.
All right, we're on a roll here.
Yeah.
We're up to 4. See, my counting is good. Arba بالعربي.
Bravo عليك.
معلش.
I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. Is education about control?
That was a quote, a claimed quote by a certain Mr. Rockefeller when it was in the turn of the century, where when creating the educational system, he does not want a nation of thinkers. He wants a nation of workers. Is education ultimately all about control?
I'd like to believe it's not. In our schools, no. Are some systems doing this? I'm sure. Have you seen Waiting for Superman? It's a documentary that plays into Mr. Rockefeller's quote about the U.S. education system. In history, when you look back, the fact that kids were put in rows and columns with tables and chairs, and this was all the beginning of, yes, we are building workers.
And uniforms.
Yeah, it was about workers. Uniform, I have a different take on it nowadays. But I like to, I believe it shouldn't be. Of course not. And I believe...
It's not the question. Is it about control? Is education...
No, it's not. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Is it? In some places, it is. In some places, in some countries, it is.
Do you see that people are starting to ask more questions around education, and they're looking at alternative ways of educating their children because of that? The realization that they are ultimately being plugged into a system to be told what to do, where to go, what to wear, what to study, all designed to them to leave work, to leave the school, get into university to find a job that they, again, will profit from if you believe that everything is connected, the different educational systems with all the larger corporations in the world.
I think, yeah.
It's the same people running the world.
Yeah, I think there are more questions, but I sometimes question why we're questioning. So are we questioning because we figured out that the kids now know what we're up to and we're figuring out ways to get a different way in to control them? And I hope the kids are the wiser of it and expose us. Because if it is about control, I encourage all kids to break the chains. You don't need to be controlled. You need to be supported so that you can take care of our grandkids. I believe in this generation. This generation is going to be in charge when I have grandchildren. I have full faith they'll do a good job. So we have to let go of this control.
How do you feel about saying that? About the question.
I love it. But Mr. Rockefeller, that's how I feel about him.
Yeah. So look,
but at least he said it out loud. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, but don't say it out loud, right? So I'd rather deal with him, knowing what I'm dealing with, versus underhanded thoughts like this that I'm not aware you have, but you're sitting right there in front of me.
It's a massive, massive thing. If we are literally education is being created to control everything that we do, how we think, how we approach, what aspirations to have, everything comes from a place of wanting to control others. When you put it through that lens, you start to question everything. And the more you question, it's scarier, but you start to feel more liberated and you're more comfortable in who you are, and you start to embrace your own individuality.
Awesome.
I was a rascal at school. I was cheeky. I was
cheeky,
I was
but
cheeky.
very polite, very
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
respectful.
And many years later, it was suppressed. I was told not to. I had to go back. It's only the last kind of couple of years through the podcast, I'm starting to re-emerge, if you like, and rediscover who I once was. But a lot of that was suppressed. And because I was told to suppress it. Even at school, I was told to suppress it. I was punished for being cheeky. I was punished for talking back. I was punished for questioning. A lot. One of the reasons I wanted to get you on this show, full transparency, elephant in the room, was to ask you this question. I fundamentally believe education is the biggest controlling mechanism that's been going around for over 100 years. How we are taught, things we've been taught, I don't believe anymore. I question. And off camera, I'm going to tell you the things that I don't believe anymore.
I don't disagree with you, but I think we can pick at this into several branches.
Season
right?
7, season 8.
Yeah. This could be a lot of coffees in my garden.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with you, but I do think I have an obligation to make sure, at least in my schools, we tell kids this might be what might happen to you. Be conscious of it and fight it. Because, look, I have children. I don't want them to be controlled. I don't. So why would I wish it upon any children?
Yep.
And I think Mr. Rockefeller, does he have children? Is he crazy? Is he dead?
There's many others, Rockefeller.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they have money and they want to keep it, so.
Yeah. Let's do another one. We've got 2 more.
Yalla. Where does the line between parent and teacher start and end when educating children? It's not a yes/no question.
No, but where does it start and end? So explain to me the dynamic between where a parent and a kid, a parent and a teacher. Like, where does it start? Where does it end? How do you differentiate between both?
I think respect and stay out of their way when they are in school.
So what does what? So what's the role of the teacher? What's the role of the parent when it comes to educating their children?
Supporting the teacher. So I think parents should not get involved with what happens in school with the kids in terms of academics.
Okay.
Because I think when your kids come home, don't talk about homework. Don't talk about what you learned today.
But they still need to educate their children at home in a different way. So where
Read.
Yeah.
Read with your kids. Go into the supermarket and give them 10 dirhams and tell them, buy 2 items, but give me back 2 dirhams.
What about ethics? What about the value? So again, where does the line of the teacher start and end in terms of the kid's education? So a kid is absorbing everything, right? What should they be getting from the teacher and what should they be getting from the parent?
Look, it's a very difficult question to answer because in our schools, again, the teachers are involved even in value systems, right? Because we do have a value system in school and core values are shared by everyone. And the parents who come to our schools know these are the core values and we're going to be, working with them. They're integrated into our daily life. The parents have the job of making sure their value system also makes it.
But you see, there's a lot of blurring, right? It's not when it comes to the
I get it.
academia. It's not when it comes to academia, but if a kid is being naughty at school, he should be somehow, talked to, understood, whatever, questioned. Same thing at home, right?
100%.
The challenge is when the parent and the teacher are not doing the same thing. So there's an inconsistency with how that
Have
child.
a conversation.
So again, where does it start? Like, should there be clearer roles defined between both, or should they both be doing the same thing in the same way? That's kind of where I'm getting towards.
You cannot force the parents or the teachers to do things the same way. It's very difficult to control that. It's very difficult to actually make sure it's happening. But you can always engage in conversations. So keep it an open street where, if something happens with the kids, sit at the table together and decide what you're going to do with it. The school will have its approach and the parent will have their own approach because sometimes things we cannot do, you can do as a parent, In Arabic, we say, Eid lahala ma btza'if. You need 2 hands to clap. All right? So the parents and the school need to work together on these things. I don't know. You want to take me somewhere? I don't know where you're taking me.
No, it's not. It's just because, again, when it comes to a child, again, they have 2 main stakeholders, if you like, in their, or influences in their life. Parents at home, teachers at school. That's their world, Right, and then they'll have friends maybe
Yeah.
outside, but they're getting the education from those two different sources. So where does the role of the teacher end, and where does the role of the
Look, for
parent
me,
begin? You see what I'm saying?
the teachers are limited, honestly, with their role because they're limited to what happens in the school. And the school has so many rules and so many regulations that it's very rare for this kind of blur to happen, really, because we're almost all on the same page.
But
honestly.
social experiences, they should both.
I think
take.
so. And I think when you choose a school as a parent, you choose the school knowing what kind of a value system is going to be coming at your kid.
So social alignment, but academia, leave that at school, except for books, of course.
I say that because, enjoy your kids at home, huh? Don't open another school at home.
Yeah.
You want to be present in their education academically, be present in the reading, in the math, in life, in the, the plant a tree for science. Just don't
No danger of that
be
happening.
the other.
No danger of that happening with me, I tell you. Right,
What about
let's
Rasha?
do. No, she's very good with the creative side, so she gets them drawing and playing,
Okay.
Play-Doh.
See, yeah, and let if my kid comes home and says to me, I had a problem with my teacher, this happened. I say, okay, go back to school and sort your problem with your teacher.
So
why are you telling me?
you've just sparked something. The whole right brain, left brain thing. Can you have both? Are people more inclined to be more artsy or more scientific? Is that just a myth?
I think no, it does exist. Some people do tend to be more artsy. I do believe in left and right brain, but I do believe you can be both. I am both. I am. I do.
I love that look you gave me.
I doodle a lot, but I'm also a math freak.
Yeah.
So it's
We'll put that to the test later.
Yeah. Okay. Which one?
Oh,
which part? All right. Last one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The gap between today's curriculum versus the speed of change will continue to widen. Debate. So we're debating this one.
I believe that the gap between the curriculum being taught today in schools and the real world is only going to widen further. I don't think schools can keep up with the development happening outside of its school gates. And I think that gap is going to widen. That's my point of view.
My point of view is, why do we have to, anything that happens in the world in terms of development, why does it have to make its way into school? So, when the car was invented, did we talk about it in school, about the process?
I would hope so.
The process, no. But eventually, as historical part, yeah. But like AI is evolving. Do we have to keep up with every step of AI in schools? No. But I have to keep up with the fact that it's happening. Prepare the kids that it's out there. They actually know more than I do about AI.
So let me, okay, another way of looking at it. How archaic are the subjects still being taught at school today?
Not so much anymore. Basics are still there. Numeracy, literacy have to be the way they are. But in general,
why do they have to be?
You have to learn to count. You have to learn to deal with some form of numeracy, and literacy. You have to read and write, right? Reading and writing, for me, is.
When's the last time you saw your kids write something down on a piece of paper?
Does it matter how? As long as they're writing. I don't care if they're journaling online or they're writing with a pen.
Have you noticed how people now, when they get a pen, they can't write for longer than sort of 30 seconds because it starts to hurt their hand? They haven't been used to writing. At school, we didn't have phones, tablets, all that stuff. Laptops came, PCs came much later, but I had to write essays. I was a history major. I was going to be a lawyer.
Now they type it. Oh, lawyer. Huh?
I was going to be a lawyer.
That's another coffee.
That was
so many coffees.
So I had to write pages and pages. Now I can't write anything.
Yeah.
I've completely lost. I feel like we're evolving in a way where our thumbs are going to get longer from the scrolling. We're not going to be able to grip pens anymore.
Yeah.
It's the reality. The last time I had to think about maths, I haven't. I just have solutions around.
But let me ask you this. So what's the problem with you not writing with a pen?
No, I'm talking about reading and writing. So when I say reading and writing, I don't think typing. I think reading and I think writing.
No. When I say writing, I mean being able to put sentences together and translating them into some form of something I can read. All right? So being able to express yourself with using the alphabet.
What other subjects are being taught today? If you look at your curriculum.
We teach 3 languages in our schools. So and that's something I think is amazing, is the languages, I consider them a treasure. I'm currently still learning languages. So I'm now learning Spanish. So, yeah.
Increíble.
Hey.
Diga
Me gusta esta idioma.
Okay.
I
love the subject.
I love this language. I love it, the Spanish. And because I have a French background, because I went to Mawakeb as well. It's
So languages you're teaching. What else?
when the kids get older, they have access to a lot of electives. So we teach forensic science, we teach AP art.
Okay.
Art is very big in our schools in the upper levels. We teach some social studies, but that's required. Sciences are very important in their diversity, right? So whether it's physics, chemistry, biology, all of it is being taught. Keep in mind, a lot of the time we teach these things to train kids' memory and to train kids' recognition of differences. Doesn't have to be, because I know if you ask me now, do you remember a biology lesson you took in 11th grade? I'll say to you, no. But that wasn't the point. It wasn't
my teacher though.
There you go. See, so you don't remember what they taught, but how they
So I teach I'm a communication coach. I tell people it's not about what you present. It's about the presenter. And if people never remember, slide 14 was brilliant.
No.
They'll remember the person.
The way 100%. I
Same
agree with
thing
you.
with subjects.
I probably need a couple of lessons from
Think about them on the house.
But what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is sometimes you're teaching things in school to train different skills in kids' brains. You know, memorization. People are rote memory. I'm like, okay, I get it. We're not gonna teach them rote memory, but they should learn how to memorize because you need to memorize things. And so some things are taught because sometimes you teach because you want to create, train other skills in kids' minds.
I'm with you. I have one final ball.
Oh.
It's blank. So you don't have to worry about this whole. I love that, by the way. It's great. And you were very impressive. You were holding all of them at one point. You had all 6 of them. Yeah. Alan Bajani did that. He had 8 though. I had 8 back then. This is really the final insight that you would like to share with people. So you've worked a long time in education. You have a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of experience. What is the one thing that you think we need to know as an audience or as people?
It has to do with education.
It can be anything that you like. This is your insight.
Time is a luxury we all underestimate. How you use it is going to decide what your life will look like. So use compassion, use gratitude, use kindness in every time that you do anything in your life. That's what I want. I'm a very basic person, not complex.
Very nice.
That's it.
Like it's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
That way. No, I'm very, we got to do that coffee.
I'm going to go do that coffee, but speak to my wife first. Do that.
Of course, I'm going to speak to your wife first.
Mate,
it's normal.
Standard. And it's funny, every single guest who comes on, they tend to love Rasha much more than me. And yet I'm the one who's building the relationship, asking the questions, getting that chemistry.
You have to, but Luca.
Is it because I'm a man? Is it because I'm a man? If I was a woman, it would be different, right?
I'm so glad you're not a woman, but if giving Russia credit starts with she chose you. So in that lies a lot of credit for you.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
100%. It's been great having you on, Alissar. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Really, really wonderful.
I'm going to take the asterisk.
Mabruk.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because on the next season, they're going to see that up there.
It's going to make an impression. It's the only...
There's a couple other
the largest one.
Yeah, I've got one from Nelly Attar. She climbed mountains. She has an actual mountain flask.
I can't compete with that.
But the color and asterisks, it's
boom.
It's a winner.
It's boom.
And on that note, boom. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have liked this episode, there's a subscribe button at the bottom. Just click the subscribe button, man. Just click it. Comment as much as you like. Share as much as you like. Do what you do best. I will see you very soon on Luca's Inside Track.